On today's show, the San Diego Padres split their series through the ups and downs against the Arizona Diamondbacks, and Jake Garegnani of CBS 8 Sports is on here, back for Fun Friday to talk about the game, as well as a potential update on Michael King's return, some power showcase from Fernando Tatis Jr., and some all-star thoughts. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Padres, your daily San Diego Padres podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Locked On Padres podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day for Friday, July 11th. As always, I'm your host with sometimes the most, Javier Reyes, and I've been covering the team for almost 6 years now for not just this podcast, but also various other outlets, including justbaseball.com, chief among them. Today's episode, though, is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. And also, speaking of checking things out, go check me out on Twitter/X and Blue Sky at Javipeno, JAVIIPENO. And be sure to check out my co-host for the day. It's Jake Garegnani. You heard him, I think, 2 weeks ago now. For the first time, second time, third time. I don't remember exactly, but he's back of CBS 8 Sports. Jake, man, how you doing? You can follow him at Jake Garegnani on Twitter/X as well.
I'm always doing good when the Padres are doing good. So right now, I think we're feeling pretty good, Javi.
It's just, isn't it a funny team? Every single series is always like, it's like the memes of the worst, so it's over, we're so back, all that sort of stuff. I don't think we've quite hit the worst so back, but we go from it's over to we're okay. Like, we're okay. Yeah. We're at least an okay team. You know what I mean? It's like, gets a little melodramatic and whatnot. Today, guys, we were talking about yesterday's game, the last game between the Padres and the D-backs. Then we're going to be talking about Michael King, some all-star stuff, a little bit of a nice mix of topics today. But first, let's talk about the game yesterday. The Padres win 4-3 because Randy Vasquez devil magic. The Kansas City Chiefs, I never heard of you because it's all about Randy Vasquez accomplishing stuff despite it all. 4-3 in this game, gives up 2 earned runs on 5 hits, walking 4 and only striking out 1. I don't know how he keeps getting away with it, but hey, unlike some other pitchers on this team, like Dylan Cease, who I talked about in yesterday's show, my everydayers would know that I talked about him on yesterday's show because he has been disastrous, and I talked about how bad he was yesterday. Yeah, his peripherals are better. Randy Vasquez's peripherals are bad, but he gets it done, at least as much as the Padres need. And the other story in this game, the bullpen. And as Mike Schilt quoted them as the 4 horsemen. Okay, you guys know who I'm talking about. Monahan, Adam, Estrada, and Suarez shut down the D-backs through the rest of the way. 1 run given up by Jason Adam, but other than that, absolutely phenomenal. Jake, man, what are your kind of biggest takeaways, I guess, to start off from this game?
I'll start with what you started with, and that would be Randy Vasquez, who is an incredibly frustrating pitcher to watch. And I get it. A lot of people want to pull their hair out when they watch Randy Vasquez. But I think the biggest jump, Javi, from Randy last year to Randy this year is he gives the team a chance to win. Like you mentioned, It seems like every game he pitches in, even if it's 4 or 5 innings, he's keeping the team in the ball game, albeit in a very frustrating way. He's keeping them in the ball game, which I think is huge. So I think, like, when you look at what Randy has done this year, it's hard to say, oh, yeah, he's been huge for the Padres because of what the numbers are. But I think he's kind of been huge for the Padres because he keeps them in games and he lets them go out there and be able to win some of those games. And then the second part, the bullpen, let's be honest, they've been nails all year long. Yeah, there was a stretch here and there where maybe they weren't their sharpest, but they've been the life beat of this team all season long, and they continue to do so with those said 4 horsemen. And then my final note, I think, taken away from yesterday's game is there's a lot of concern for this offense, and rightfully so. They rank in the bottom part of all offensive categories. But then you watch games like yesterday and you go, it's in there. And I think the key, Javi, about the offense is there are incredibly frustrating moments where you see, like yesterday with the bases loaded and we still can't get a run across, and that's happened a million times this season. But then you see that everything within this offense feels fixable. And what I mean by that is I don't think Jackson Merrill and Fernando Tatis Jr., who hit a nuke, and these guys will continue to be in slumps. And then I don't think this is the catching situation moving forward. And I think a lot of the issues, quote unquote, with this offense are very, very fixable when you talk about guys coming out of slumps and moves being made at the deadline.
Absolutely, man. Well said. I think that Randy Vasquez, you say it's frustrating to watch him. I bet batters are frustrated going against him because they're probably just like, look, I get like they go into a Paul Skeens matchup. They go into even to a Nick Pivetta matchup. They go into all these other guys in Philly and all these great rotations. Like, okay, these are going to be tough pitchers. They must just look at Randy Vasquez like, I think what he's done this year is he's just added a better usage of his cutter, which isn't an amazing pitch, but I think it just gives him a weapon to use against lefties, which kind of killed him last year. So it's just stopping that one thing that would kill him last year. And I think I mean, this is just me making stuff up now. Not a statistical thing. I feel like he's down to, he just gives up. He's all right, take the base. Like, I swear that's his philosophy sometimes. Like, all right, just take the base. I'm going to throw you nothing but garbage. And hopefully, because you know it's garbage, you'll get too aggressive trying to hit it out of the park. And players do hit home runs often. This is a guy that, again, the peripherals are really bad on Randy Vasquez. It will not shock either of us if post All-Star break, he has a start, 7 runs in 2 innings. It won't surprise us. But for right now, he's just living. And that's his kind of philosophy. But I also agree with you on the offense. The offense has been so frustrating. But you're right. It's definitely in there. And I thought that Tatis, by the way, 2 for 4 in this game with a walk. That's kind of Tatis's whole offense for a while now has basically been walks, let's just be honest, and being an incredible base runner and one of the best outfielder defenders in the sport next to your Pete Armstrong types. And he hit a nuke in this one, and he also hit another shot that was almost a home run, at least extra bases, and Jake McCarthy robs it from him. So, look, there have been positive developments for Tatis. We've seen him hitting the ball into the air more. He, like I said, he's always drawing walks. The peripherals are there, but we do got to see it, right? And I think that he can get a little bit better. But in fairness, we are on year 3, as I talked about in yesterday's show, of better expected stats versus on field. So at some point, is it just getting unlucky? Probably not. So hopefully he figures that out. And Jackson Merrill moved down pretty significantly in the lineup in this game. Did you take any note of that? Because I was like, whoa, like I respect that this Padres team has really been tinkering with their lineup. And for players that I thought they were just going to be like, you're staying there, you're Jackson Merrill.
Look, Mike Schilt, to a fault, will stick with his guys. He will back his guys forever and ever, but he will also see the writing on the wall, which, to your point, to his credit, he did. And he's been shaking up this lineup a ton, playing with all kinds of things, trying to figure out what will work. And Jackson admitted in the clubhouse the other day, he goes, look, when I'm struggling this bad, if I get dropped in the lineup, that's fine. I'm a team player. So him getting dropped in the lineup isn't any surprise. You saw him go from 2 to 5, and then he seems to, though, be somewhat crawling out of this slump. It feels like he's putting together, to me at least, better at bats. And that might be grasping at straws, but he seems to be putting together better at bats, hitting the ball a little bit harder. Now the slump is still horrendous. Let's not kid ourselves. It's been really, really bad. But the movement in the lineup is Mike Schilt saying, look, I'm going to try and do everything in my power. You're not going out of this lineup. So I'm going to do everything in my power to try and make sure that you have the most success in this lineup until you figure it out again. And I think the reality of the situation, Javi, is it's a guy in his sophomore year. The book is out. He did such a wonderful job last year of adjusting to the adjustments that people were trying to make against him in year 1. But people get numbers and they get analytics and they get all this stuff, and it's attack, counterattack, attack, counterattack, attack, counterattack. And you're just kind of seeing Jackson Merrill having to get on the counterattack right now. And yeah, he's struggling a bit, but I think the movement in the lineup is huge for him to be able to find where he needs to be from a hitting perspective. And I also think the All-Star break is going to do him wonders. He says he doesn't want to stop playing. He told the media that, but I think it's going to do him a lot of wonders.
Yeah, maybe being a baseball rat like he is, maybe you need to like force him to stay away from the game for just a little bit. I'd be seeing the videos of him in between innings, going in the batting cage and taking like 20 swings. Maybe just take a tiny break, just a tiny bit. But who am I? I'm not making millions play Major League Baseball, but we will see it. Speaking of better at bats, I've got to ask Jake about potential better at bats with the catching position, because, ladies and gentlemen, the Campusano Hive is back, at least for today's episode. And we'll talk about that, guys, in just a second. But first, a word from one of our sponsors. And that sponsor is the good folks of supplies. That is Supply House, everybody, because if you need the supplies From all the skilled trades, plumbing, HVAC, electrical work, whatever, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. The easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400 plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need, delivered fast from coast to coast. And if you need help with an order, don't worry. Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use the promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Go check it out. And just like that, everybody thriving and vibing into the second segment of this fun Friday show with Jake Garegnani of CBS Sports, new contributor. You know, I like that word actually. Contributor of the show.
Perfectly, to be honest, Javi, it fits me perfectly.
Contributor for the show. Man, Luis Campusano. Here's my thing, man. What did he do? You know what I mean? Who is he part of the Dominic Toretto gang from Fast and Furious? What dirt does he have on every branch of government? What branch of other governments? Because for me, I have battled this issue for so long because Campusano, in fairness, when he does get called up, with the exception of a stretch in 2023, has really struggled. But at the same time, he's a young player, right? He's still just 26, and he's shown some promise before. And more importantly, Martín Maldonado and Elias Diaz are the worst catching tandem basically in all of baseball, especially with the former in Maldonado, right? Martín Maldonado, just to give you his slash line, folks, just to remind everybody of what we're dealing with here. Just so everybody knows, he is currently slashing 179 with a 223 on base and a 301 slugging. He has a 48 WRC plus, and he's good for negative 0.9 wins above replacement. Not to get too into the weeds with the stats, but that's bad. Just to explain it to everybody, right? That's not good to be actively a negative player. Elias Diaz, not that great, but negative 0.2, right? Like, he's been in a little bit of a slump lately. Hopefully he can get better than what he's been doing. I don't understand why these two players are the ones that block. One of them coming off some meh seasons, whatever. And then the other one in Maldonado is 40 years old and hasn't been good in 4 years. So it's kind of like, I just don't understand what's going on, really. Has that been a frustrating amongst the Padres brethren that you're surrounded by in San Diego?
Yeah, it's frustrating. I'm going to paint you two pictures here, and then I'm going to give you my opinion on it, because there's two schools of thought in this whole thing. There is the school of thought that you brought up. You have a young catcher waiting in the wings and two older catchers doing nothing. Seems pretty obvious, right? Bring up the young guy, give him another opportunity, who, as you mentioned, has had plenty of opportunities and really hasn't thrived in them. The other side of the token, and Mike Schultz has talked a lot about this, is sometimes it isn't always about the offensive part of a catcher, in that these two guys apparently handle this staff so well that if you were to remove one of those two, you would see a decrease in the pitching. Are you willing to risk how good this pitching is by putting up a Campusano in the lineup and behind the plate in dealing with this pitching? Which one of those two sides do you believe? I don't know. Now, me personally, I think it's like, what do you have to lose again? But there's also that thing. It's like, Campy's been here. He's done that. He has proven over and over again that the big leagues seem a little bit too big for him. And I like Campusano a lot. He's a really good guy, but it's just like, are you willing to rock the boat on the pitching side of things, if you do believe in that school of thought, for a guy who's probably not going to really offer any more offensive production? I mean, the last time he was up, Javi, you might as well have had Martín Maldonado there.
Yeah.
So he didn't do anything, right?
Yeah.
So are you willing to risk that again and possibly rock the boat with the pitching staff? How would you answer that? I mean, if you do, one, do you believe it's that important, defensive catching? And two, how would you handle it if you do believe it's important?
I think it's super important. And I think that the reason that I am in favor of the Martín Maldonado thing is because we know there's no upside. 40-year-old hasn't been good in 4 years. And I think that the advanced numbers on not pitching staff relations, but blocks above average, he's -7. Caught stealing above average, he's -6. He has let the most passed balls get by him of any catcher in the majors.
Yep.
That to me is like, okay, you might be a decent catcher for the pitchers, but sometimes I'm like, man, I don't always trust this team with that because number one, Gabby's caught a no-hitter last year from Dylan C. So that team's pretty okay. And number two, it's just hard for me to trust this team, what they're doing offensively. I love what they're doing with pitching. Play whoever you want. Don't listen to me. I'm an idiot, right? But with batters, outside last year, that was kind of the only year when you saw the depth be filled out in a good way. And I still remember, and it was a different, time period back then, but I still remember when hearing about the Yasmani Grandal, where it's like, oh, well, the pitchers, it's not the same thing. You get rid of him. What is he? A multi-time all-star. That is not what I think Campusano is, but I just get a little bit worried about that old-fashioned sense of thinking. But again, it's just something to watch. Maybe they're just greasing him up for a trade. I don't know. Maybe he's just the Crash Davis, right? Maybe he's just destined to just be great at AAA because he always rakes at AAA. Campy. So I don't know what it is exactly, but it is a storyline to follow, I guess, through the rest of the season if they ever give him another chance.
And I do think the reality of it is, Javi, is neither one of those three guys are the answer. They need to go out and get a different option. Now, the catching market is what it is, and anyone that's done the research knows that it's not lucrative.
It's
but I don't think any one of those three cats is the answer if this team wants to get where they want to go.
Got to keep Salas. Got to keep Salas, in my opinion. Michael King. Little bit of a quote from him yesterday on potential return. It was asked by AJ Casaval, and he brought up of MLB.com. There's a bobblehead night, August 20th. He threw a bullpen session on Thursday, which is great. And there's a bobblehead night on August 20th for his bobblehead. So he asked, is that the target date? And Michael King said, in quote, it'll be well before that. That would not be a good one, referring to the 20th. So hopefully Michael King is coming back, because when that guy comes back, that changes a lot with his pitching staff. All of a sudden, the Cease blowups feel a little bit less painful, I think, because then you're like, okay, he's your number 3 or whatnot. You already got Yu Darvish back. So it's just this really funny thing. Every time you think the Padres are out, you're like, but they're not that bad. They're just extremely aggressively, dare I say, obnoxiously fine. You know what I mean? And I think that's frustrating, because you look at the payroll, you look at some of the names, you look at this sexiness of Tatis, Machado, Merrill, allegedly Bogarts, right? All of these sort of players together, you should have a better team. But I think it's just one of those teams that frustratingly, where it's like, guys, we're not out of it. We're clearly going to contend for it. Cease is not getting traded. Arise is not getting traded. They're going to go for it. The degree with which they go for the deadline, I think, is the question. But we'll talk a little bit more about that and get Jake's thoughts on the All-Star break in just a sec, guys. But we got to take one more break to talk about one more of our sponsors. And that sponsor, folks, it was the one you heard at the top of the podcast. And it's at the top of the podcast because it is the top tier of places to go when it comes to getting tickets, guys. Because if you ever decide at the last minute to head out to a ball game with your friends, the happy hour ended early, it ended late, that appointment you had got canceled, whatever it is, let me tell you, it's easier to grab last-minute tickets without the stress over at Game Time. It's awesome, guys. Makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app actually drop the closer you get to first pitch, and they've got incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views, zone deals, and a lowest price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying. It's great. They've got some FIFA World Cup matchup stuff as well. Go check it out, guys. It's great. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. But again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed with Game Time. And just like that, everybody, we are back here on the Locked On Padres podcast, final segment of this fun Friday crossover. Jake Garegnani of CBS 8 Sports is joining me today. Man, Michael King potentially coming back. We got Yu Darvish back, but we have one more series, and it's coming against the Phillies. We're not going to talk too much about that series because, frankly, it's scary, and that team scares me. But I will ask you this one thing before we move on to the All-Star stuff. Do you know what the Padres' record is against the Phillies since 2021?
Since 2021 against the Phillies, are you counting the NLCS?
I am not.
Since 2021 against Phil, it can't be good.
No.
My guess is 6-15.
Not bad. 8-18. Shout out to Karthik, your coworker. He got it on the first try. He guessed it 100%. Everybody knows that. Go watch the crossover series if you want. It was actually pretty wild. We lost our mind. I couldn't believe he got it. 8-18. So not looking forward to this weekend series. We'll see how it goes. But All-Star break, man. Just four All-Stars for the Padres. Tatis, Machado, Jason Adam, and Robert Suarez. All pretty deserving. Suarez probably the lowest of the resume, only because the ERA did get really bloated towards the latter act of June and a little bit of July. I have some questions with him, but hey, let me tell you, even if he's hasn't been great, I want that guy at the All-Star game because he's either throwing heat or he's getting killed. And that's what I want in an exhibition game. You know what I mean? Give me all the offense and cool stuff possible. But what are your kind of thoughts, I think, on the All-Star thing this year? Are you surprised by certain players that made it, didn't make it? Do you have any just general takes about All-Star festivities?
I mean, as far as the Padres go, Manny locked, no big deal.
Yeah,
Obviously,
yeah.
7th, rock and roll. The Tatis one, when it came out, I was a little bit surprised. I think he came out of the gate so hot, but the fact that like the All-Star selection came out in the middle of like his lowest low point felt kind of interesting. Jason Adam, I'm stoked for. That dude super deserves it. It's going to be his first one. I think he's really going to soak that up. And then the Suarez one, I think replacing an injured guy in Chris Sale and a guy that leads the National League in saves, that's almost a lock. You know what I mean? Like if you're leading a league in saves, and actually he leads major leagues in saves now. So it's like, yeah, go ahead and put him in the All-Star game. My initial thoughts, and I'd get yours on this, is I miss it when it mattered. I miss it when it decided World Series home field advantage. Yes! So now, you know what I mean? Like yes, kind of like, nah. And I feel like every other guy gets in, but can we make it matter again?
I think I every dayers, you have to let me know. I think I talked about this yesterday. I don't think it's that much of a minority opinion, man. I don't think it's that like crazy of a take. I think people kind of agree with us. I'm basing that granted on this anecdotal evidence, Twitter likes, but still, I feel like there's like a decent amount of people that are like, that was a unique thing. Now, granted, All-Star game is better than all the other sports. Clearly, the NBA players stopped trying, and then football, they didn't try, and we understand why they didn't try, right?
They literally put flags on. Yeah.
Yeah, they literally put flags on. Now they just do like dodgeball and little like 4-on-4 games.
Like, playing football anymore.
I love it. I love that the NFL was like, let's just give people like silly games to play. That way the players don't get hurt. We don't even guarantee their contracts and blah, 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 blah. So I think it's better for that. But with baseball, I just thought it was this cool, unique spin, man. I'm kind of with you. I really think it was a lot of fun to have that. It's kind of crazy that the American League always wins. I still don't get it. And I think that, not to go too much on a tangent, I think I used to get it because the National League pitchers' stats could get a tiny bit inflated because they used to have the pitchers hitting, right? So there's just a free out, more or less, every 9 batters. So that must have helped a little bit. But right now, I'm like, National League, step it up, man. You guys have all these fun players. You got Elise de la Cruz, you got Mookie Betts, you got Freddie Freeman, you got Paul Skeens, you got all these guys. Like, let's go out and represent a little bit, but we'll have to see. I hope the Padres do well. And let me tell you, Tatis I think you nailed it. Like, it's a little bit surprising, especially because unlike people like us, not everybody is paying attention to like the wins above replacement leaderboards where Tatis is 12th among all players, which is excellent. Usually you just see like the 258 average, 15 home runs, which is good. But I think that a lot of people, I'm just a little bit surprised that he's still managed to make it. The fame is crazy. I mean, absent Ohtani and absent Judge, probably the premier, most famous player in Major League Baseball. Like, and maybe obviously like Yamamoto, all the international players clearly have a big following too. But those are kind of like the 3 guys, it feels like, right? Bryce Harper's up there. I still love it though, because who cares? But at the same time, my only criticism though, man, I hate the one every team gets a representative. I'm sorry. I hate it. I think it is borderline malpractice. I think it is unfortunate. I think it is insulting to people who deserve it more in a sport that oftentimes is dictated that those teams that are bad, usually, not always, The teams aren't spending. They're not going out and trying. So why do we have to bail you out for not going out and trying? You know what I mean? But that's just me.
Yeah, it's like I don't need to see the middle reliever for the Rockies for a fourth straight year out there. In one other take, by the way, is like, can we go back to wearing the jerseys like of the team? Because that was sick too. You know,
like the individual jerseys?
Yeah, like the individual, you know, I don't like the uniform jerseys anymore where everyone's wearing the same thing. I miss the team, everyone being out there in their own jerseys and the road and away. That was sick too. So that's what I'm here for. That's what I like. By the way, the last time the National League won, was that Elias Diaz?
It might have been, yeah. I think MVP, it might have been,
Elias Diaz, All-Star MVP. Shout out Elias Diaz.
That was amazing when that happened. I agree on the uniforms. I think a compromise could be had here. Let's keep that you can do specially designed hats every year, because that's what this is. This is another way for Major League Baseball to have custom uniforms. By the way, I actually liked last year's hats. They were like ice cream, like popsicle vibes. I actually really like them. Go look up 2024 for those who don't remember. Maybe you keep it that there's a custom hat every year, but then everyone gets the uniform, or vice versa. Maybe it's a compromise. I don't know. Rob Manfred, I know he's a big listener of the show. Maybe that'll be something that we can go forward, man. Yeah, maybe. But Jake, do you have any other last thoughts about the All-Star break? Because for me, look, regardless of what happens this weekend, I just think it's a fine team. But it's going to be busy. I imagine AJ Preller and company are going to take some of the break to be like, what are we doing exactly? Can we go out and get somebody? Are we going to stand pat? Just can we find a left fielder with a pulse? Like what? That just seems like that's the only thing they can do. And I'm hoping for the best. All-Star is always just a nice little break. I wish Tatis was in the home run derby, but obviously there are other players more deserving of it. But we'll just see, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing for the break, and I've said this for a while, is like this team just needs to get to the break still in the mix. And I think they're doing that enough, like getting to the break still in the mix, get a little bit more healthy, get some reinforcements later that month. And I really, what did you use earlier to describe this team? Was you said something fine. What was the word before it?
Aggressively fine.
Aggressively fine. I think here's my theory here, Javi. I think aggressively fine can turn into damn fine just like that in a matter of months. All right. And so I think this team is borderline. I seem to be the only one thinking this, and that's fine. I'm kind of crazy. Call me. But I think this team is on the precipice of getting a lot better and not a lot worse.
It absolutely could happen around this time last year, July 10th. They were 49-47. And that was the best Padres season since 98 and 84, right? So totally possible that they turn it around. The case, get King back, get Darvish back. Bullpen's great. If Merrill and Tatis are performing at a great level, like elite tier players, the way that Tatis can be and the way Merrill was last year, all of a sudden the need for the left fielder thing, you still got to get one, goes down. All of a sudden, if they just produce like that, there are other teams in baseball, guys, that only have like 4 great players. I hate that criticism of the Padres sometimes. Like, yeah, because Cleveland, famously, who spends $1 a year, and they have Jose Ramirez just hitting 120 RBIs every year. Like, they're not the only team like that. There's still a case. And there's 3 wildcard spots. You can beat out St. Louis. You know what I mean? So we'll just have to see, man. But Jake, any final parting words for the good folks before we head out for what will be a super duper weekend?
Here are my parting words. Mark my words right now as we record July 11th. San Diego Padres will be a playoff team.
All right. Mark, put it down. I said before the season they wouldn't be. So one of us at the end of this is going to look a little stupid, you know? But we'll see how it pans out.
We got to make a bet on it. We'll make an off-camera bet on this because I got a playoff team, Javi. I'm telling you now.
Let's do it. We'll do something when I'm in San Diego. Breaking news for everybody. I'm going back at the end of the month. Hopefully I don't curse them again. We'll see how that goes, guys. But thank you for listening to today's episode of Fun Friday Show for sure. Go check out Jake at CBS 8 Sports. As always, he does great work over there. And that about does it for today's edition of the Locked On Padres podcast, the only pod that may be better than the Padres themselves. Until next time, stay safe and, of course, stay faithful. My faithful homies, take care.